Afternoon and welcome everyone to our webinar, Social Media Marketing, Ask the Experts. This is a district SCORE event. It's brought to you by Greater Phoenix SCORE, as well as Northern Arizona, Southern Arizona, and Utah SCORE chapters. And we'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the SBA for supporting SCORE, and they're the ones that make these workshops possible. So my name is Terry Ambrose. I'm a digital marketing coach and content creator at terryambrose.com. And I'm going to be your host this afternoon as our three panelists teach us all about social media marketing using LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So I will be introducing each of our panelists individually before their presentations. And then at the end of each presentation, we'll have a Q&A session. So down in the chat box or the Q&A, I would preferably do it in the Q&A. I always mess up and do it in the chat box, but put your questions in there and then the panelists can answer them once they're done with their session. And before we dive in though, to the individual platforms, let's talk a little bit in general about why a business would want to use social media marketing. So why spend time and resources figuring out social media, right? What are the benefits? So I put together 7 benefits. I actually put together a lot of benefits, and then I culled it down to 7 because as social media works best for a lot of businesses, and then depending on your niche, it can work even better, more fabulous. So I started going down those rabbit holes and I thought, nope, we're going to keep it to 7 because these are really important for every business. So number 1, social media gets attention for your business and builds awareness. And that's the most obvious. It's probably the first thing you think of when you think of social media for business. It's a way that people search for particular interests. And if your business is part of the niche of the things that consumers are interested in, they're more likely, they're probably going to follow your page and they're going to pay attention to what you have to say. So it's the heart of advertising. And keep in mind, next to Google search, social media is where people are looking for their products and services in the businesses they want to work with. So if you're not doing social media, you're missing a key component of digital marketing. All right, so number 2, social media enables you to communicate and act as an authority in your space. So, for example, it gives you a platform to post videos, share articles that you've written, publish any number of other pieces of content. And one of the important things about doing this is basically over time, you're going to start being looked at as the authority in your space. And you want that. You want that implication because it conveys like a brand authority and a trustedness. So if somebody, like, you might be in the periphery of their awareness, but then they're like, oh yeah, I've been following this dog walker and kept them in the back of my mind for when we go on vacation or whatever. So you build that authoritativeness and you can be authentic about it. That's the third thing. So social media allows authenticity. You don't need to be formal. Not that you want to go crazy, but just like as a person, you wouldn't put on a social facade. You don't want to do that in business either. Okay. And consumers, they want more transparency and authenticity. So it's great. Social media makes that happen. And you can provide that for your clientele. All right. Okay. So number 4, you can build business relationships with social media. And, not just with your clients, but with other business owners. People are going to interact with you more on social than if you picked up the phone or sent a cold email. At least that's in my experience. If I send somebody a direct message, or certainly if a client wants to get a hold of me, I'm on social back and forth all the time with them. So you're able to build relationships that way. And number 5, it's easier to grow your business affordably. So, you can pay for Google ads or You can pay for social media ads, or you can grow organically. But I remember when I first started my social media accounts for a previous business I had, a wedding magazine company, I budgeted about $5 a day and built, I think in like 2 or 3 months, I had about 4,000 followers. And I mean, I know that's not millions, but we were a brand new business, and that was 4,000 potential eyes on what we had to say or share or sell. So number 6, social media can make it easier to provide support for your customers. So again, they're messaging you. 7 out of 10 consumers, I don't know where I read this, but it resonated. And I remember thinking, that makes sense. 7 out of 10 consumers would like to message a business instead of calling or emailing or any other form of contact. So social media makes that easy. And then finally, social media can increase your website traffic, either by funneling your customers through your website or your social media to your website. And then the other way it increases your website traffic is it boosts you. Having a link from your social media to your website, that boosts your search engine optimization too. So we do want to do social media for business. That's the point there. And then, so now you know that which platform is best. Well, when people ask me that, I basically tell them 2 things. I think the platform that is best is the one where your ideal clients are more likely to be hanging out. And then 2, it's going to be the ones that you are most inclined to be active on. Okay. So it doesn't make sense if, for example, your target audience is couples, say you're a wedding photographer. It would make much more sense for your business to be on an image-rich platform like Instagram or Pinterest, and also you want to choose platforms that you're going to be active on. If you're not inclined to make videos, then there's no point in having TikTok or YouTube channel, right? So you want to be active and pick the right platforms and be on it, because if people can't see you, then they can't do business with you. Okay, so this brings us now to Casey OToole. And Casey is going to, I think he jumped us, but Casey is going to teach us about best ways to use LinkedIn for business. Casey is the founder of My Linked Solution. It's a digital marketing agency that helps companies get more business by leveraging the power of LinkedIn. All right, so Casey, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Terry. I appreciate the introduction and for enlightening me on some of the different social media aspects as well. But sadly, and I guess fortunately, my main jam is LinkedIn. I've been using LinkedIn just as like a digital resume for probably 15 or so years, but I didn't really discover how powerful the platform could be until about 3 or 4 years ago when I started my real estate career. But the 2 items that you mentioned about social media that I think especially pertain to LinkedIn are how it helps you build relationships and also allows you to create authenticity with people that are in your professional network. But as I mentioned before, how I used it before was just like a LinkedIn kind of online digital resume. I think everything starts with your LinkedIn profile. So I wanted to kind of start off this short presentation with describing how to enhance your LinkedIn profile so that you put your best foot forward in front of these network of professionals that you want to be impressing. So first and foremost, you want to have a casual and yet professional profile and banner photo. I can't tell you how often I see individuals who are trying to get my attention on LinkedIn who don't have any image behind their profile photo. And to me, that kind of shows a little bit of laziness in terms of, what are you trying to do? So I feel like if you don't use that, that's like kind of one of the more important things to do. You also want to have a very specific yet not salesy headline. So you want to kind of describe what you do rather than what you want from the person that you're trying to connect with. And that's very important also, because if you're sending out connection requests via LinkedIn, that's the first thing people will see is your headline. And so if they think that you're going to be immediately hitting them with like a spammy message because your headline says, I can generate tons of leads via LinkedIn or whatever it might be, they're not going to want to connect with you. Next is you want to be pretty much filling up every asset that LinkedIn has to offer, especially the experience and the education fields. You want to be exhaustive and prominent in those fields as well. And this is kind of where you were talking about earlier, Terry, about creating authenticity. I get a question all the time where they say, well, why would I want to put down experience that doesn't pertain to my profession? If I want people to think that I'm an authority on, this business or this industry, why don't I only put down that sort of experience? And my argument is people like to do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And you never know what someone's going to attach to in terms of how they can envision a working relationship with you. So if you are in real estate or in mortgage or whatever you might be, yeah, you want to have your real estate industry and experience first and foremost, but don't neglect to consider how important it was that you worked in healthcare before, or that you're on the board of certain nonprofit organizations or whatever it might be, because some folks might appeal that they want to work with people that they know, like, and trust. In fact, one of our clients, he told me he got a deal from LinkedIn from the owner of a jiu-jitsu studio that he attended. And so my client put down that he attended, it was part of like some jiu-jitsu club, and then the owner recognized that he was a part of the club, and it kind of like created that immediate relationship. And then finally, recommendations, interests, and skills. You want to be not only recommending other individuals for their experiences, but you want to also be requesting recommendations or testimonials from people that you've done business with to recommend you as well. Then I recommend that everyone kind of have a game plan, like know who you're trying to reach out to, who you're trying to connect with, and do it in a very strategic way. So first thing I recommend is to define your objective. If you're trying to recruit agents onto your team or to hire someone to join your team, that's one objective. And it's separate from making sales or branding. Making sales, you want to find different types of people, and branding, you want to be posting different types of content. So first, you want to define your objective of why you're using LinkedIn for your business. Then I highly recommend, if you're going to be using this for sales or even recruiting, you want to find commonality with LinkedIn's tool, Sales Navigator. They do typically provide you a 1-month free trial, and it's about $100 a month thereafter. But Sales Navigator is one of the more powerful tools that I've encountered in terms of like being able to really narrow in on your specific ideal customer profile. I think it's better than Facebook's algorithm and Facebook's options because you can focus on people that went to your same university. There's a lot more filters that you can use to create commonality, right? So you can find people that went to your same university, and then you can mention in your initial message, hey, we both went to UCSB, let's connect. Local heroes, so veterans, folks who are in education, law enforcement, those can be considered kind of education commonalities, healthcare. One good common kind of script that we've used before is our local heroes, where we reach out to people in the healthcare industry and we say, hey, it's great to meet you. I see you're in healthcare. That's great. My spouse is also in healthcare, and I really respect what you do for our community, especially during COVID, et cetera. So you can kind of create this very customized engagement through finding certain filters and people that you can relate to. You can find people that are in similar groups, similar industries, people who are veterans, et cetera. And then also you want to be able, or you could also exclude false positives. So I'll be giving a lot of examples about real estate because that's, what my practice is, and that's how I've leveraged LinkedIn. But if I'm trying to find buyers and sellers who may want to buy or sell real estate, you can use LinkedIn's exclusion option to exclude the title of realtor or exclude the title of real estate mortgage. That way, those folks may not accidentally get into your search feed, which you would then be messaging on, a semi-regular basis. So you can use Sales Navigator to find your ideal audience, as well as to exclude people that you don't want to be reaching out to. In terms of content, this is an ever-changing conversation. It's kind of like trying to hit a moving target. LinkedIn's always trying to promote different assets that they're trying to see what sort of engagement they'll get or what sort of activity they'll get from their users. For a while, LinkedIn's been pushing LinkedIn Live, but it's not really taking off. So now that I see them kind of pushing more LinkedIn newsletters. So you can subscribe to be an influencer in your industry, and you can be admitted to their media. There's some sort of label for you, but where you can start creating LinkedIn newsletters where you get to publish organic content and push it onto LinkedIn. And that's been getting a lot more engagement from LinkedIn's algorithm recently. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn events. I've been shouting about it for probably a couple of years now. It's still one of the best ways to invite people that are in your network to join an event that you're putting on. And if you create the LinkedIn event from a business page, which I recommend, you can then require registration, which you can then get their email address, which you can then remarket to from different channels. So LinkedIn events is a really powerful tool. We did a real estate market update a couple of years ago during COVID and got 106 attendees to join that market update with their information to then contact them later on. Posting, you want to keep it organic, relevant, and native. So organic meaning don't just take a blog post from some other site and put that link onto your newsfeed. It's just not going to work. It's just there's ways that LinkedIn can figure out that same blog post has been posted on hundreds of different sites, so it won't give very much exposure at all. Keep it relevant. You want to make sure that what you're posting actually makes sense to your ideal customer profile, makes you look like you are a subject matter expert in that field. So keep the content relevant. And then finally, and probably most importantly, is you want to keep it native. So even if you get that blog post, I would recommend just copy and pasting the content into a newsletter on LinkedIn. That way people stay on LinkedIn rather than are taken away. Because the moment you put in a link that will redirect them outside of LinkedIn is the moment you're going to lose them. In fact, LinkedIn, try it now if you want. Go onto LinkedIn and try and find someone who posts like a YouTube video. Before they let you click on that link and go over to YouTube, they'll put up this big sign saying like, "Are you sure you want to leave LinkedIn?" And the moment you do that, you're going to lose someone. So keeping it native, meaning like if you have a YouTube video that you posted there, get the raw version of it and upload it onto LinkedIn as a raw video. That's really important. And then finally, engage organically and post for your audience. You want to be commenting on their posts as much as you want them to comment on your post. So if you can comment thoughtfully and be the expert, then you'll be getting similar sorts of reactions from folks that you're wanting to interact with and engage with. So after you've enhanced your LinkedIn profile, you found your audience, you've been kind of engaging with their platform for quite some time, I then say it's kind of okay to start engaging with individuals on a direct message basis. I say that because you have to be very careful with this, because if you start messaging people immediately with spammy messages, it could get you in a little bit of trouble with LinkedIn. But if you genuinely take time and create an authentic kind of script that targets a specific demographic that you're looking to reach out to and provide value for, that's the real trick. So in my opinion, I think the best way of doing that is there's 3 steps. You want to build the rapport first, offer value, and then ask for business. So the building rapport component is, hey, we both went to UCSB, that's great. Or I see you're in healthcare, my spouse is in healthcare as well. Hey, looks like we're both fellow veterans. Now we're working in the private sector. How is that transition for you? So you kind of create that rapport of which kind of takes their guard down a little bit. Then you come from contribution and you offer value. You don't go right for the sell, you offer value. Hey, I just wanted to let you know that I created this unique PDF that's specific for healthcare professionals that I wanted you to have. It's an investment guide for healthcare. Or I wanted to offer you a Go Gaucho credit, up to $4,000 back at close of escrow if I can help you buy or sell a home. So you offer value next, and then finally you ask for business. Would love to grab coffee with you. We should schedule a quick Zoom call. What would work best for you? And then you want to keep the call to action safe and simple, right? I have a lot of clients that are using these very long calendar links that no one really feels safe clicking. But I do like how simple it is. Just click a link. Calendly is like one of the more effective call to action kind of links that I would recommend, because you see Calendly in the URL and you know where it's going to bring you. And then 2 steps later, you have a call booked with that person. So I would say if you're going to be asking for business, keep the call to action safe and simple. And then finally, keep the conversation going and don't treat people as a means to an end. This is really important because our most successful clients, they are on LinkedIn on a regular basis, daily, and they're engaging not only with just people who are considered leads, but with people who are saying, I'm not interested now. We bought a house last year. I'll be set for a little while. Because it's just a really nice thing for you to do, is to just, if they gave you the time to respond so organically and genuinely, you want to be able to respond to them in a very similar fashion. So rather than just ignoring that comment, you want to respond back to them saying, oh, that's great. Where did you buy your home? Or, did you sell too? Or whatever it might be. But any sort of response is better than nothing. And if you can keep that conversation going with another question, that's even better. You want to be the person that they remember when they are looking to eventually buy or sell again, right? And if you just ignore their message, not only will they not remember you, but if they remember that you forgot to, or you neglected to reply back to them, they may even have a sour taste in their mouth, right? So yeah, don't treat people as a means to an end, but as an end in and of themselves. Now this is a little bit more advanced, but we did like we created, we call it our $10 million funnel, because me and my brother are real estate partners. We did about 50 million in sales last year, and about $10 million of that total was coming from the funnel that we created using LinkedIn data as the top of the funnel. And that's key. So everything else on the bottom is different software, different platforms. But the LinkedIn component is the very top, and you can gather all of the data from your LinkedIn contacts, and you can funnel them into separate engagement campaigns using different channels. And if you can customize and make the transition really smooth and fluid between LinkedIn and email, that gives you the best chance of engaging them to do business with you in the future. In my opinion, one of the better ways of going about that is you bring them from LinkedIn, and the very first email you send out to them and say, hey, we're friends on LinkedIn, and I want to bring our relationship off of social media onto a more professional channel. I noticed you're local here to Santa Barbara. That's great. I am as well. First of all, if you don't want to hear from me via email, just let me know and I'll take you off the list. It's totally fine. But if you are interested in real estate or anything else, I wanted to be a resource for you. So you want to give them the out in a very safe and simple way for them to say, oh, I don't want to be contacted. And then if you do it in a very fluid way and very nice when you come from contribution, you'll be surprised at how often people positively engage with those email messages. So anyways, I won't get into any of the rest of the funnel. That's all kind of higher level and it's not really for this, but the reason why I want to include this in this presentation is it's important to understand that the LinkedIn contact data that you can get is top of the line. It's what they use to log into LinkedIn, and it's all of the information that they have from LinkedIn, like their first name, their last name, their title, their industry, their location, and you can use that to customize all of your future engagements with them. So yeah, that's kind of it. So this, I kind of ended on a very complicated slide, but if there are any questions about any of the previous slides that pertain to LinkedIn, I am open for questions and let me know.
Thanks, Casey. This is Terry. I'm going to jump back in, and there was a question in the chat, and then I have a question for you also. So Kara Jean asked, you were talking about Sales Navigator. You're at that page, I believe. And she said, is that in LinkedIn? But that's a level up, right? That's a paid for monthly subscription called Sales Navigator that gives you those different tools that you were showing. Is that right?
So Sales Navigator is a LinkedIn product. It's about $100 a month. You have options with LinkedIn. So like the lowest premium account is like their business account. Then there's Sales Navigator, which is like the next level up. And then Recruiter is like, is their most expensive premium package. We recommend, if you're trying to use this for business, we recommend Sales Navigator for all the reasons that I mentioned before. It's just a really amazing way of really narrowing in on your ideal customer profile.
And that kind of leads to my question too, which is, so you have a lot of experience with LinkedIn in the real estate space, and now you're doing digital marketing featuring LinkedIn and other things in a broader space than real estate. So from a business perspective, are there particular niches or besides real estate that you would say LinkedIn is a great tool for you for getting leads, or, you know, for what other objective there would be? What say you on best types of businesses that fit the LinkedIn type of system?
That's a great question. And I would say this. I would say if you can find your audience on using Sales Navigator, then it could work for you. So it's kind of like a roundabout way of saying really any business. So for real estate, you know, obviously our client is anyone who has enough money to buy or sell a home. And so you can filter using like seniority level, years of experience, titles, which means that we can find CEOs, founders, partners, directors, owners of companies that are larger than 50 employees. So even though we don't know for a fact that this person may be a homeowner, you know, it's a pretty good, what we call substitute variables, where we can really assume that they are a homeowner based on their current title or position.
Okay, well, this question kind of leads into another one that Jay has popped up here on the Q&A. So he says, is LinkedIn a good option for artists, paintings, writers? So like if you were taking it from a totally different perspective, the creative perspective, is there a place for creatives on LinkedIn? What would be their objective and how would they get more business through LinkedIn, would you think? Or is this not really there? I mean, because I talked about this, choose your platform, right? If you're an artist, you're definitely going to want to be on Instagram. I mean, you're going to be wanting to show off your art, but is there a place in LinkedIn for them to benefit too?
Absolutely. I mean, it depends on what their campaign objective is, right? So if they're just looking to sell like specific pieces of art, I would say, you know, individual messages wouldn't really be your best bet. Maybe using the news feed to like brand yourself as an artist could be a better fit. If you're looking for, you know, investors, if you're looking for someone to help you build your business, whatever it might be, and you want to send them like a link to your portfolio of art, you know, that would be a better kind of option for like direct messages. And you can filter for people who are like art investors. Well, especially if your geographic audience is like nationwide, you can find people that are investors in art, or people who have art in their profile or art in their title. So you can really narrow down using those filters for art related people, and that way you can kind of maybe find some of your clients or some investors.
Yeah, that makes sense. It all goes back to what is your objective? What are you trying to do here?
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, thank you, Casey. This was super interesting. I learned a lot myself. Okay, so
Great.
now we're going to move on to Facebook for Business. And I'm going to be introducing you to Peter Feinstein. Peter is a subject matter expert for SCORE. He specializes in ad tech, including Facebook advertising, social media marketing, e-commerce, design and development, and radio and TV advertising. So he's been around the advertising block, and he's going to teach us all about Facebook for Business. Take it away, Peter.
Terry, thanks so much. Casey, and great presentation on LinkedIn. I learned a lot from that, and welcome everyone. It's great to see so many people here. And as Terry said, I've been around the advertising block for a while. And my start with Facebook really had some interesting beginnings. I actually had an advertising agency for a number of years, and was published mostly on radio and TV. And I was not very kind to Facebook when I would be published, and for a lot of misconceptions. And some of those misconceptions, I think, may still be out there. And that is that Facebook doesn't work because advertising in general on Facebook happens in the news feed, and no one's really looking for what people are selling from within Facebook. And I can tell you that in my experience, and we'll get into this a little bit more as I go through the presentation, but there's a great deal of attraction that goes on from within Facebook. But really, I think, for me, in examining and in helping companies use Facebook successfully, there have been some really key pointers along the way. And that very first thing, and it was talked about, Casey brought it up and Terry kind of touched on that as well, is, what's your goal? What is it you are looking to accomplish? And I've gotten answers from people that are attempting to increase page likes because they have a certain goal that they're looking to accomplish on their Facebook business page. They're looking to establish a brand. Many people that I've spoken to and that I help are in it for generating leads and also driving sales. And I can tell you that, again, early on in my process, it was something where I really had very little belief that Facebook could generate sales. And I learned it was because I really hadn't established the goals that people were trying to come up with, and I hadn't matched up the goals with the strength that Facebook offers. So I would suggest, getting your goals written down and establishing what it is you actually want to accomplish. Because once you have that, you're actually able to advertise with Facebook and market through their systems a lot more effectively. A lot of times, when I have these conversations with people, the biggest question that I get asked is, what can Facebook do? And what are its failings? And I think that one of the things that I've seen, and my particular experience set, is Facebook can be an astonishing place to run advertising if you know who your target market is, and if you actually have some of that targeting information. Facebook can certainly help you drive your brand. It can work with you in engaging people on your business page. You can have them, do page likes. You can have them engage with either still image or video ads. But the key thing to remember is within the Facebook advertising environment, Facebook actually, carefully asks you to establish what your objective is. And based on that, it will walk you through a series of steps that can help you create a campaign that delivers creative designed to accomplish certain things. The thing that you shouldn't do is you shouldn't expect an engagement campaign, which would be designed to get people to engage with your business Facebook page. You wouldn't expect that to necessarily be responsible for driving sales unless some portion of your Facebook business page had a link to click that actually caused a sale. And there are some small areas that you can do that in. One of the things that I stress with the companies that I work with, because they have this preconceived notion that Facebook is really best at driving page likes and interaction with their business page. But in the end, they really want to drive sales. And so, if your ultimate goal is in fact to drive sales and you want to use Facebook advertising to do that, it's something where it's actually really well positioned to help you do that. And I think that it's something where if you start with the end in mind, and this is more focused for e-commerce type of business, but it applies equally to brick and mortar as well. But you always want to start with the end in mind. So if you've got this goal set up to drive sales with Facebook, or you want to drive leads that will ultimately convert to sales, then you want to make sure that you're using your Facebook page to be set up a certain way that has the right content. And I think over the past, I would say the last 5 years, where video was thought of as, a really nice way to go. And I remember, in whatever training I went through with Facebook, and I've actually worked for Facebook for 2.5 years, and in our initial training, it was like, yeah, we would want to encourage companies to use video if possible, although still images were always still acceptable. But it's something where, these days, it's really, video is no longer a nice thing to have. It's really something that you need to strongly consider. And the great thing about video is you can actually stitch together still images to create a video. And Facebook has a lot of tools available to you inside all of their creative packaging for running ads to actually create these videos out of still images, so that you don't need to spend an extraordinary amount of money going to a professional production company if you don't want to. I know that for me, I use my phone, and it works really effectively, and it actually coincides and works really well with the way Facebook is formatted in the news feed on a vertical plane. The video, ideally would be it would be relatively short, and you want to shoot it and have it be with sound off. But if the person decides to put sound on, you want to make it, and the term that comes to my mind is you want to make it wowable, so that when someone turns their volume on, or if they have the volume on, it really captures their attention. You want it to be something where it's instantly engaging, and not a turnoff. So you wouldn't want it to be necessarily something that would be, shrill or shrieking, but you would definitely want it to be something that engages and keeps the person's attention. And speaking of attention, attention spans have gone from 60 seconds on radio to 30 seconds was the standard for so many years in broadcast and cable TV. And it's really worked its way down to, in some instances, as little as 5 seconds. But the standard that I seem to come across mostly from within Facebook is anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds. But the caveat to that is you really need to make sure that you give that storyline, that punch, that instant attraction in the first 5 seconds. And I can tell you that in my experience in working with advertisers, the more genuine actual client testimonials that you have, and they can be very brief. They do not need to be long-winded. They can be edited and very short and crisp and to the point, but that tell a real story of, someone using your company or, getting something from you that they hadn't expected. The real testimonial is going to be highly engaging and very satisfying for real people as they're going through their news feed and they're thumbing through. And it will actually, in so many instances, be a way to stop somebody's thumb. And in the world that we're living in with Facebook, where it's literally a thumb stop, that is literally the ultimate goal. And so, I think that's one of the tips that I would offer as far as working on your creative. There are a lot of different ways that you can be creative and capture people's attention. But I think that if you've got a genuine story to tell with real customer testimonials, real customer endorsements, and not necessarily paid endorsements, because they often come across as being not genuine. And I think people see through those very quickly. But genuine customer testimonials can be very, very attractive. And the thing that I've found most about these testimonials is that they will say things about your company and about your services and the things that you offer to people that you or I might never come up with on our own. And we would script whatever kind of language and want to have an award-winning ad that that we think looks great and is supposed to drive sales, but it never actually answers the key benefit that the end user, your client, your customer is looking for, and they'll say it for you over and over again as a part of that experience. So thinking of using the end or starting with the end in mind, if you're doing e-commerce or anything where you're going to transact or seek to transact any kind of business online, you want to be able to use a variety of different tools. And bear with me a minute because I have one tool and I need to share him with you guys. This is Hopper. He's sitting at my feet and I don't want him to get noisy. So he'll kind of join us the rest of the way. But it's something where Facebook uses and partners with a variety of different software systems for web design and more than just web design, but interaction with the Facebook platform. So WordPress, WooCommerce, and Shopify are very popular websites. And obviously, everybody has pros and cons to whichever one they might prefer. So it's really a personal preference, and it depends on the different features that you're interested. And I'm not going to get too much into that. But what I will tell you is that those three platforms are extremely easy to interact with and integrate into components of Facebook. So there's a tool, and I say here, the Facebook Pixel. And if you aren't familiar with the Facebook Pixel, it's basically like a single line of code that gets put on your header. And it's something where if you're using WordPress, WooCommerce, Shopify, they partner with Facebook so that it's literally copy and paste and the Pixel is installed. And the Pixel is this piece of code that accumulates user data from wherever they come to your website. So if you have the Pixel installed on your site, it doesn't matter where traffic is coming from, it will track every single person that comes onto your site, and it will digest that data and it will push that data into your ads manager area in Facebook. The ads manager area is where you control your campaigns. And the great thing about it is there's a sub area called Events Manager, and Web Events, which is what the Pixel is designed to establish and look at, will show you what kind of traffic you have, the website visitors you have, the searches that they conduct, the pages that they go to, and you can actually identify from within the Pixel and quantify the different web events you want to track most specifically. So if you're trying to drive leads, you can track landing page views. You can track if a web form has been opened. You can track if a web form was completed and submitted. And you can do the very same thing through purchase processes, where it's something where you go through anyone who searches for a product and adds that product to your shopping cart, or they add payment information, or they take the ultimate step and they actually go ahead and make the sale. It's something where the Pixel is responsible for tracking all of that and delivering that data into your events manager that sits in Ads Manager that you can then access and create audiences from. And that's one of the things that, when we talk about utilizing Facebook effectively, there's a user interface called Ads Manager. Many of you may be using a mobile version of Ads Manager or maybe Ads Center. And I get the ease and simplicity associated with both of those. But I would encourage you to actually go to Ads Manager, and you can see all of your campaigns. And as much as anything else, it gives you the ability to go through and establish so many different targeting parameters. And I don't mean from the interests that Facebook has, as far as you being able to type in, some of the different interests that they're able to tackle because they have the data. I'm talking about being able to utilize the data from the Pixel that is associated with your website, which is, if you think about it, those are people who are, pretty much part of your ideal customer. And that gives you enormous leverage. That data is something that you can then instruct Facebook to convert into actual users. And you tell Facebook, okay, I want to spend money and I want to talk to people who look just like my customers. And that's one of the great benefits of being able to use Facebook. It's something where you have this targeting tool. When I started working at Facebook, Facebook was tracking around 1,700 points of data per user. I worked for Facebook for 2.5 years, and in that 2.5 years, that number, 1,700 points of data, 10 times. And so it was already 10 times more data points by user that Facebook was able to track. And I can tell you that it's been about 1.5 years since I worked for Facebook, but I keep in touch with several on the engineering teams, specifically in the ads area and the data scientists. And I also keep track of the updates through Facebook's free learning program called Facebook Blueprint. It's something where that 10 times is 10 timesing again. And so the benefit to you for that is, if you have a Pixel installed and it's accumulating all of this traffic, people coming to your website, and again, from every source, it doesn't matter whether it's Google ads, or if it's organic, or if it's from Facebook advertising or Instagram or TikTok or wherever it is. If people are going to your website and they land on your site and they take actions, As you go through and you've indicated to Facebook the actions you want tracked, it will feed that information to your events manager in your ad account. And you can create two different kinds of audiences. And I referenced them here. There's custom audiences, and custom audiences basically tell Facebook, I'm really interested in knowing all about the people who have actually done things on my website. So it's direct data. So, let's say you have monthly traffic of 10,000 people, and 1,000 of them have opened up your lead form. And 100 of those people, and just for round numbers, 100 of those people have actually completed and submitted that lead form. Well, you have a funnel that you can then follow and you can actually track. So if you want, you could build a custom audience of everybody who has been to your website, but not opened the form and not submitted the form. And you could retarget them so that people are getting to see you in their newsfeed again and again and again in a drip campaign. And you can build business. And Facebook's system is completely automated. So if you've been running this retargeting campaign for a while, and whatever number of those people that you've been advertising to, they go to your website, they open up the web form, and some of them submit, some of them don't. Well, the ones who opened it up, they automatically come out of that targeting audience. And so you don't keep pestering people with irrelevant messages. And you can do that on any number of different activities. The most common activity that I've come across is people retargeting website visitors who haven't made a purchase. So they'll have this universe of people who have visited a website and not made a purchase. So the custom audience is literally just that, excludes purchasers and advertises just to people who have been to the site but not purchased. And the other audience that you can do is you can create a lookalike audience. So if we go back to the example of the people who have filled out that and submitted the lead form, you can tell Facebook, I want to run advertising for new people, all new people, not people who have been to my site, but brand new people who have never even heard of me. But their data points look just like the people who have completed and submitted my lead form. Facebook will go through their user base and it will learn about those people. You run an advertising campaign and they will serve that ad to the right people at the right time. And remember earlier when I had said that, I kind of was down on Facebook because I thought it was really kind of irrelevant and, no one going through their newsfeed really wants to see the advertising that's there. Well, in truth, every single ad that you see on your phone and every single post that you see on your phone or whatever other device you're using Facebook in is completely curated. And it's something where their artificial intelligence, their machine learning language has gone through and is serving the exact right images, the exact right ads, the exact right posts designed specifically for you and your online and offline activities. So it's something where it's actually extremely important that your ad be very benefit oriented, because the ads that are running are, at least theoretically speaking, because I know we all probably have stories where it's like, yeah, I just bought this thing and now I'm getting pummeled with ads for all, from all different companies about this stuff. Well, nothing is perfect, but Facebook actually operates really well in filtering out a lot of that stuff. It's the people who are creating the ads that don't quite have the system in place to exactly understand that. But the power that you have with your targetability gives you the capacity to run ads on a very efficient basis. The biggest question that I get from people is, what do I spend? How much do I spend? And, the budgeting on Facebook can vary from as little as I've seen advertisers spend as little as $2 or $3 a day if they're doing page likes, because it suits their goal. It's what they're after. To advertisers that I've worked with that are spending $30,000 a day. So it really runs the gamut. But what I will tell you is that, there are certain methodologies that you want to follow to get better results than if you just kind of do it haphazardly. You would set a daily spend level. And I can tell you that if you wanted to do like a website traffic campaign, you could spend, I think realistically, $10 to $12 a day. And that's not too little. It might be something where you could increase that over time, depending upon the results that you get, but $10 to $12 a day. And you could do, $8 to $9 of that with prospecting. So you would use lookalike audiences for all new people who look like the people who currently go to your website. And you could do 20% or, a couple $3 of that daily spend going to people who have been to your site, but maybe hadn't filled out a web form or hadn't made a purchase. It's something where you can have that going, and that can be a baseline kind of campaign where you swap out and test different creatives. You can do that every 7 to 10 days, and you can actually build a significant library of creatives that prove themselves for delivering better results than others. And the other thing that you can do with this prospecting and retargeting, and and I talked about Facebook actually driving sales. There's a single objective within the campaign structure in Facebook called conversions, and conversions are that kind of objective where your goal is to drive sales, and you use the exact same methodology with the prospecting and the retargeting, and all you're doing is seeking people who have gone through their purchase decision-making process, and your ad captures them deep in their decision-making process. And it's something where you're influencing them at that right time to help drive sales. And, it's something where before I actually started using Facebook, I didn't really think it was all that possible. And then I became a marketing expert from within Facebook, and was able to see the science behind it and the data behind it. And I realized, and I've seen the results from countless number of advertisers that I've worked with, that it is a sales driving machine. It's not a guarantee, because there's no guarantees, 100% guarantees in advertising in any form, but it's something where I've seen Facebook work over and over again in situations where radio and TV are mediocre and have been mediocre at best. So it's something where there's an astonishing amount of power that's available to you. And the last piece that I talk about here is remarketing and how you might use it. So remarketing would be a great opportunity to talk to people on a consistent basis to buy something else that they've purchased. So you have people who have made a purchase. Perhaps you have a clothing line and you've got multiple lines. You have shirts, you have pants, you have socks, you have hats, you have sweatshirts, any number of different SKUs. And someone has bought a hat from you. And, sometimes it's actually a lot less expensive to go out and, sell to the same person over and over again than trying to have to spend money against creating a brand new customer. So in remarketing, you can turn that over and you can make someone give you the opportunity to talk to them on a consistent basis, like, hey, we noticed you bought the hat, here's a special deal on shirts or pants or socks. And that kind of gives you a sense of the breadth and depth and the scope of what you can do from within Facebook. There's obviously a lot more available, time permitting. I could probably go on for a much greater time than this, and happy to take questions and see what I can do to provide some answers for you here in this forum.
Thanks, Peter. This was really good. We do have a question. We have a quick question here regarding engagement. So if you could let Sherry know, what is better for organic views and engagements, live or videos, in your opinion, briefly?
Facebook was doing live for a while, and it was pretty effective, but it's something where there's less and less of that goes on these days. I think, and I'm not going to mince words, TikTok is responsible for a significant shift away from necessarily raw live to more of video. So I think that, for driving engagement, I think that unless it's very time sensitive, I would say I would go with video.
Okay, real good. Thank you, Peter. Appreciate the information. And we are going to move on to using Instagram for business. And I'd like to introduce you to Cynthia Prieto. She is the co-owner of the Branding Room Floor, which is a digital marketing agency for small and mid-sized businesses. The Branding Room Floor not only does social media, but they also do web design too. So Cynthia is going to talk to us then today about using Instagram for business. Go ahead, Cynthia, you're on.
Thank you. So I don't know if I can top Hopper, but I will try. So Instagram is kind of its own beast. There are a lot of moving parts. And if you're already on Instagram, then you already know that updates are coming out constantly. So what I wanted to share was really how to build your strategy with foundational things, because everything's going to be a little bit different depending on your niche and your industry. So to go over, these are the things that we're going to be going over. I won't read them word for word, but again, trying to build that foundational strategy through Instagram. So the first thing would be making sure that your profile is set up for success. So a big thing that some people do not know is that your bio section of your Instagram profile is actually a searchable area. So that's where you want to make sure that you're including keywords, what you do, who you serve, where you're located. I always recommend putting in a call to action so that the person visiting understands what you want them to do next. And then obviously ways to contact you outside of Instagram, or you can even just say something as simple as, send us a DM. So this is just an example of a profile bio. So you can see they have their name, what they do, how to contact them, the area that they serve. They have an offer here, and then they also have their website. So this is a really well put bio, gives you pretty much all the information that you need about them. So what should I post? I think that's everybody's struggle when it comes to social media in general, but especially on Instagram. So I always tell people to think about why people are on social media. Why are they on Instagram? So they want to stay connected with people. They want to, see what their favorite brands and celebrities are doing. They want to share photos, and they want to spy on other people. So I just tell them to make sure you keep social media social. If you are just sell with your content, you're going to be tuned out and unfollowed. So I put this together. This is our 80-20 rule. So when you're looking at content, we break it into these 4 content pillars. So the topics that you want to keep about 80% of your content is to educate them entertain them, or inspire them. So there's some examples here, for a chiropractic office. And then 20% would be promoting your business, because, you need to ask for the sale. You need to definitely make sure that they know what you're selling and different specials and things that you have. But you want to make sure that 80% of the time, you're just trying to make a connection. You're trying to relate to them in a way other than just saying what you sell. Solve their problems, do other things besides just selling. When it comes to your content creation, make sure you're staying on brand. You should be very consistent across all platforms. So when they see you and they see your post, they should recognize that it's you. You want to make sure that for algorithm purposes, you're using the correct dimension. So if you're just grabbing an image off of a Google search or something like that, it might not be in the right dimension. So you want to make sure that you are at least resizing it. And then you want to use a variety of the content that Instagram offers. So that again is an algorithm booster. So they have the single post, the carousel post, Reels, which is by far their most heavily promoted feature right now. And then you want to use stories as well. So this is kind of my content creation toolbox for people who are starting to manage their own. So you do not have to be a graphic designer, but do remember that Instagram is a visual platform. People like to see beautiful photos and they like to see pretty pictures. So Canva is an amazing tool if you want to have beautiful photos, an access to beautiful fonts, and they have hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of templates that you can use. You can change the coloring so that, again, you're staying on brand. Like I said, Reels is a huge push right now on Instagram. So a free app that we use every day is called CapCut, and you can just download it to your cell phone. And that's where we do our video editing for Reels. You can do it in the app, but I do find that this is a little bit easier. So until you're pretty fluid with Instagram Reels, this is a great option. And then if you need free stock photography that is actually current and up to date and looks really modern and nice, Unsplash is a really great website for you to use to get those photos. If you don't have a lot of brand photography, this is a great place to start. So then you want to talk to them through your captions and your copywriting. So again, just like your bio was a searchable area, your captions are also a searchable area. So you want to keep keywords in mind when you're writing your captions as well. You want to make sure that you are talking to your target audience, and it's probably deeper than you think it is right now. So you want to move past demographic and go to psychographic. What do they care about? What would they, what organizations would they donate to? What are they passionate about? Those things are really going to help you speak to them and connect to them on a real level. You want to show your brand personality, and whether that's really approachable and friendly or whether that's very, sophisticated and regal, you want to make sure that you're expressing that in your writing as well. And you want to solve problems. So that is what's going to make somebody interested in what you're saying. You are solving their problem. And then I always recommend a call to action, whether that's double tap if you agree, or whether that's, check the link in our bio. Just always ask them to do something. You always want to guide them to whatever it is, whatever action you want them to take on your post. So hashtags. Hashtags are actually, you're able to use them on several different platforms, but I think that they are most powerful on Instagram. Instagram allows a maximum of 30 hashtags. So you can use kind of any combination in there from 1 to 30, obviously. I usually recommend somewhere between 10 and 20. And they are a way for your post to be discovered by new people. So when you use a hashtag, it throws your post into a feed with people who are posting on the same hashtag. One of the biggest mistakes I think people can make is using a hashtag that's oversaturated. So, if you are a mortgage lender and you're going to use hashtag mortgage and there's 900 million posts associated with that hashtag, you are going to be lost in a sea of other posts, and it's really going to negatively affect your reach when you could use a different hashtag that would actually get you people in your area. So I always recommend a mix. You want to have hashtags that are to what your post is about, whatever the topic is. You want to use hashtags that are industry specific. You want to use hashtags that are specific to your target audience. And then you can also use community related hashtags if that is what your business is. So, you know, in the example of real estate or mortgage lenders, you know, they are working a specific area. So using a community hashtag would be really, really great for them to reach people who they can actually help as a client. So then planning and scheduling is probably one of the biggest pieces that makes business owners specifically, especially if you're a one-man show running your own business, it makes them kind of run away from social media because that's the part that can be more time consuming. So when people ask me, you know, how they should be going about scheduling and planning their social media content, I always let them know that consistency is more important than quantity. So what that means is if you have time in a month and you're posting, you know, 4 times a week for 3 weeks straight and it's great, and then you get super busy and you kind of ghost for a month, that's not good. So you want to think about your schedule and you want to think about what you can commit to consistently. So if that's 2 times a week, it's 2 times a week. If that's 5 times a week, then it's 5 times a week. But just make sure that it's something you can consistently commit to. You want to use your analytics. So that's where the professional, business, and creator profiles come into play. A question that I get is, should I have a personal page or should I have a business page? A business page is going to open up all of your analytics. And that's where, you know, that's a gold mine. That's where you really are going to get some good information on who's following you, where they're from, what their age is, you know, gender, all of those things. You want to post when your followers are online and active. And that's another piece of analytics that's open to business accounts. Organize your posts on a calendar, whether it's a physical calendar that you write on or whether it's a digital, you know, something online. Just put something on paper so that you are already thinking of what you can post and it doesn't feel overwhelming and you sit down and you just kind of become paralyzed because it's overwhelming. And then you want to batch your work. So what that means is set aside a day or half a day where you are going to work on your social media and you're going to plan for the next week, the next 2 weeks, the next month, whatever it is. Batch it all if you do not have the time to get on social media regularly because you're running your business. So I always recommend using the tools that Meta or Facebook is offering because third-party schedulers can negatively affect your post. And the worst case scenario is that Facebook or Instagram would have some kind of falling out with this third-party scheduler, and they being Facebook and Instagram, could delete all of your posts. It has happened. So that's why I always warn people against using third-party schedulers. But Meta Business Suite, you can schedule posts, you can schedule reels, you can view all of your analytics, you can respond to comments and messages. They have really made it kind of all-inclusive, and it's really been a really nice platform for you to be able to manage your accounts. So I do recommend using them. And then this is just a post checklist. So before you hit schedule or before you hit post, always make sure you have your photo and your graphic in there, your caption, your call to action, hashtags. You want to use location tags as well, if that especially is, pertinent to your business, being local, getting yourself put into those location feeds. Share your post to your story so that you can show up at the top of someone's bio. They may not organically see you in their feed, but you could pop up at the top of their profile when they get into Instagram. And then you want to tag any applicable accounts or people. Again, just, expanding your reach. And then, so that's all content, and content is only half of the strategy. The other half is engagement. And so engagement looks like likes, saves, shares, and comments. So engagement is what keeps people on the app. So if Instagram sees that you are keeping people on the app, they will reward you with more exposure. So this is probably the single most important part of organic social media growth, meaning you're not going to be paying for advertising. You want to give as much engagement as you want to get. So, just posting isn't enough. You want to make sure that you are interacting with your newsfeed, you're finding other accounts to follow, and you're sharing the love. Whatever you want to receive, you want to put out as well. There is something called reciprocity, which means it's just that human nature to reciprocate any kind of kindness that you're showing on social media. So again, that's why you would really want to give as much as you get. And again, if you're a one-man show running your business, you're like, how am I going to do all of this? So we put this together. It's 1 hour of engagement for busy business owners, and it breaks it down into 15-minute chunks. So whether you do that, throughout the day, or whether you sit down and actually do 1 hour at a time, this is a good way for you kind of hit all of the areas that you need to and get your engagement done. And then lastly, I love this GIF because I think it speaks volumes. So what does success look like on Instagram? One, you want to post with purpose, so you're not always chasing the like. So whether that is, you wanted people to comment, or you wanted people to, visit your website, fill out a form, whatever it is, have a goal in mind for your post so that you're not just chasing the like and you feel like a post was a failure because it only got a dozen likes, where one that you did, a few weeks ago got 50. So just make sure you're posting with purpose. And so leading into that is, don't chase those vanity metrics. Followers and likes are vanity metrics. Just because somebody has a low follower count does not mean that they're not running a successful business. So that's really what this shows, that you on the top, on the surface level, you may see a big follower count, but they may not be getting any clients, they may not be getting any sales, where somebody else who's really working their community and building that community on social media is actually getting some loyal followers and loyal customers. And that was my last one.
Caught me off guard there. That was your last one. Oh, I was so interested actually in watching and listening to what you had to say about that. I have all kinds of my own Instagram questions, but so we do have a question from Jay. Again, Jay was the artist, and actually it looks like we have a few questions, but so Jay's an artist and he wants to know, how do you see him using, and I used you, he asked this a little while ago, right after Peter ended, but I thought, oh, this is a good question for Cynthia, because how do you see an artist using Instagram, and you have experience with Facebook also, what would be his best approach?
So we actually manage an architect. And the way that his process is that he actually starts in a sketchbook with a pencil and paper, which is so interesting because then it goes into this CAD program and it's very technical and it's way over my head. But his process is so simple the way it begins. So we shared a reel of him sketching in his sketchbook, and we sped it up a little bit so it showed, from beginning to end. And it blew up. People like to see talented people do things they don't know how to do. So that's what I would say. Give them a peek behind the curtain, show them your process, show them what you do, maybe a before and after something you've been working on for a long time. Even show them mistakes. That shows how human you are, and that's going to help them connect with you as well. So that's what I would say to do, is show them your process, show them behind the curtain, because people love to watch people do things that they don't know how to do. I mean, I get lost in cake and cookie decorating videos, because I am not a baker, but I am so, intrigued by people who can do that. So we've had a lot of success with our architects, our architect clients, just showing their process and giving people a peek behind the curtain.
That's such good advice. And it reminds me, I actually follow some artists on TikTok and on Instagram.
Yes.
And I mean, I don't know what it is about art that lulls you into wanting to watch those reels and videos.
Does.
So,
Yeah, and it's sure, that's the good thing. You don't have to sit to necessarily record like all day long, because, just like I think Peter referenced it, people's attention spans are 5 seconds. So it doesn't have to be long. Like I said, we speed up the video so that they do, get attracted right at the beginning and then stay through the video. But I think that's an amazing way to do it, especially if somebody's a talented artist. That's amazing.
yeah, I agree. Okay, so Stacy has a question. I don't know if you're able to answer this. If as I was reading it, I'm like, I have no idea. She says, we're following too many people on Instagram and we're trying to unfollow some of them. So we managed to unfollow half, but then we got locked out and people we unfollowed were added back. Do you have any tips on how to avoid this? Have you experienced anything like that before?
I have not experienced that specifically, but I will say that there are some actions on Instagram that they get very finicky about, because it comes off as bot actions. So one thing is, there are limits on how many likes you can make in a day. There are limits on how many accounts you can follow in a day. And so it may be a situation where you unfollowed so many in a day that they were like, nope, this must have been a hacked account and we're just going to shut this down and do that. That's what I would assume based on the scenario, because we've had that happen where, I used the word love bomb with a client and I shouldn't have, because then they went and they love bombed like 500 people and they got suspended for 30 days because Instagram thought it was a hacked account or a bot account. So that's what I would say is, if you're going to do it, maybe like stretch it out over a month and try and do maybe like 10 a day or something, so that you don't just like go in one day and unfollow half of your people and then Instagram thinks you're a bot or you're a hacked account.
That's good advice. I hope that helps, Stacy. That does resonates with me. I think you might be right about that, Cynthia. So, okay, everybody, I want to thank you and talk to you about SCORE real quick here and let you know what's available to you through SCORE. So we have a lot of tools for business success for you through SCORE. You can visit the SCORE's website at greaterphoenixscore.org. You can see that at the bottom there. And on the website, we have, you can find webinars just like this, sign up for them. You can sign up for our newsletter. We have a resource library and then blogs and articles for you. And I'd like to encourage you too to follow us on social media, because that's how you're going to see other upcoming workshops and webinars too. So then, Crystal, if we can go to the last page here. Mentoring. I don't know how many of you guys have mentors through SCORE, but every business needs a mentor. I think no matter how successful you are, it's really great to have a mentor to run things through, to get resources from, to get connected with other people. So go again on SCORE's website, greaterphoenixscore.org, and sign up to get placed with a mentor. It's free and they will keep you in line. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. I appreciate your participation. This will be sent to you via an email with a link.